Okay. Good morning, or good afternoon. So without the position of a permanent chairman, I'm going to chair the meeting here for a few minutes. And the first item on our agenda is the election of the chairman for this committee. I just spoke to Kenny Leggett and asked him if he would chair it. And everyone's thoughts and discussion.
I'd like to nominate Leggett for the position of chair.
Okay. Any more discussion? Can I get a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
Congratulations. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
You're chairman.
I'll take over.
There you go.
All right, so we'll move on to the minutes of the March 21st meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from March 21st.
Favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move right along to the portfolio review.
Thank you. We show that the Columbia County Chamber of Commerce is past due. They owe us for both April and May. I'm sure they're going to pay that. I sent them an invoice on Friday. Brown's car sales, we picked up a payment from him on Friday, and that'll go into the bank on Wednesday of this week. And then finally, we have Heavenly Essentials Therapeutic Massage. We gave them a 6-month deferment. When she came out of the deferment, she made one payment, that was March, and missed the April payment. I've been in touch with her. She is currently not working and unable to make payments. And so we're going to get into brief detail on that one after the portfolio review. Are there any questions?
Approval?
We do.
Make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so passed. All right, move right along to the Heavenly Essentials Therapeutic Massage.
This was a loan that we made in 2020. It was a $15,000. The payments were $275 a month. And Cynthia Hansen wanted to set up her own therapeutic massage business, which she did in Malaysia. She had been working at Haven in Rhinebeck. It wasn't terribly successful. She closed it sometime last year, and she got her job back at Haven and was continuing to make payments on the loan until she had a disagreement with her employer and was no longer on the schedule. That's what happened most recently. We had given her the 6-month deferment so that she could just figure out what she was going to do next. Once she closed her business, she wanted to reopen, and she had thought she had found a place in Catskill. That didn't pan out. So at present, she's not working at all. She's been in touch with us. She's a good communicator. She told me she's paying her rent and her car payment so that when she does find a job, she can drive there. She's a veteran. We really do want to work with her, but we do need to take this out of the SBA portfolio. So I'm asking the loan committee for permission to use CEDC funds to pay off the balance of the SBA portfolio, and the balance is $12,500.
The SBA portion.
Yes,
It's only,
it's only one.
we only have one loan and it's at the SBA.
So just got a good space. She found a space on Main Street. She needed some equipment. It was during COVID, so she also needed an air purifier and some other things. We sent a consultant out there to help her sort of improve the space, but she at that point didn't have the funds to do it. She never was able to build up enough of a clientele. And the people who'd been seeing her in Rhinebeck, there weren't enough up in this part of the county. Yeah.
What are your thoughts? We're going to write this up.
No, I think that my feeling is that it's too early in the process to do that. I think if she can get a job, it's 4 massages a month because the house is taking part of the payment. And if she can do them on her own, it's 2. And I think we can't begin the process of giving people a sense that they can walk away from a $12,000 loan.
She never did take the classes. We are starting one in September. We've set the schedule. I can certainly try to get into that class. I've also directed her to a couple of seminars, or I guess we'll call them seminars, up in Albany for veterans. There are some benefits that she might qualify for. I don't know if she was able to attend. She has a teenage daughter.
Our thought is that we would work with her, but she still owes us the money.
All right.
Right.
And this gives us the opportunity to remove it from the SBA, which after 3 payments we're required to anyway.
Right.
And by not having it go in default with the SBA, we don't get into the calculating if there's enough reserve and all of those things.
I'll make a motion, we move the loan from the SBA or our own.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So move.
Thank you. And we will continue to try to work with her. And,
All right, we're moving right along to the Hudson Rotisserie loan request.
Hudson Roastery, it was 15 months ago that I presented their business plan to this committee, and they were approved for a $50,000 loan to get their doors open. They opened in March of 2021. They've come back to us. They are ready to implement another phase of their business plan, which is roasting their own coffee beans. Right now, they have that done up at Chris's Coffee in Albany. They think it'll be much more cost effective to do it themselves. They've identified a roaster, a gently used roaster. They did make a down payment on it, and the balance is due November 1st. The total cost of the roaster is $27,500. And that's why we're suggesting that we close on the SBA microloan now, and we don't close on the second loan until on or about October 1st, when they are ready to take possession of that roaster. Because what they have to do is identify a space to do the roasting, and they're close. They've identified a space in Greenport. So the plan is to rent that space on or about November 1st, assuming it's ready. They think it will be. They haven't worked out all the details of the lease and the utilities, but they're getting close. Initially, they'll just be using that space to roast their coffee beans and really work on building the wholesale part of their business, which they're already in Adams, Ferryker Farms, and other places. In addition to that, they have already purchased a new espresso machine. They needed one with greater capacity, and they determined it was more cost effective to take a loan from CEDC than to lease that machine. They were leasing one through Chris's Coffee as well. They have a very good relationship with Chris's Coffee. Ultimately, they hope that that second location where they're doing the roasting will enable them to have an office for themselves. Their current location, they don't have any place where they can conduct business. They have no storage in their current space, so they do need some storage. And ultimately, they hope that they will have a second retail location. They think that there's enough of a population a couple miles down the road in Greenport who maybe don't come into Hudson on a regular basis, and that's the ultimate goal. So they're looking for $47,000 from us. $20,000 is for the espresso machine, which they've already installed. They put it on a credit card machine. $27,000 is for the roaster, and there's an additional $6,000 built in there to install the roaster and whatever plumbing and electric they will need as well. Well, they've asked me not to identify it yet because they're not, it's still up in the air, but it's not too far from the malls and other retail, it's on a busy road, so.
Thought it was a good question.
And there's another space they're looking at as well, but they're trying to get this.
I'm watching out for the bagel place too.
Right.
I'm glad they changed their name to Hudson Bagels instead of my Italian friends.
Yep.
We matched the subtitle, but I think Hudson Bagels is a great name. Did they got very good press still. And roastery, personal experience, I feel like I don't go in there enough because every time I go in, it's going gangbusters. Weekends, people start drinking it. I don't know what time they start serving wine, but it's amazing. It just, it's crowded the whole time.
There was people in there today.
Constant.
So their business plan, we have them scale back their projections as we walk through it. But as it turns out, they did very well in this year in terms of revenue. And they met the goal that they had set for themselves before they reduced it. Their expenses were a little bit high. The cost of everything has gone up and the cost of employees is high. But yeah, they do have a good crew there. Most of them are college students or recent college graduates, and they seem to all, stay. I mean, I don't know, they've only been open for a year, but they don't seem to have a lot of turnover. Anyway, they've never missed a payment on their current loans. They have excellent credit scores. And the risk is that if this loan is approved, they'll have $87,000 outstanding to one business, which is a lot for CEDC.
But it's interesting that they've looked and it's cheaper to borrow from us than.
Well,
other
this, let me clarify one thing. We put down here 3.75%. Our interest rate is currently 5%, but we're going to be talking about our Columbia Forward program.
Right.
And so if that is approved, we'd be expecting the 3.75 to apply to this loan as well as a grant on top of that, $27,000.
Any discussion on this?
I'm good.
Well, I miss Seth to give us a big analysis on the whole
Well,
projections out there. 'Cause I look
Mike
at
Tucker
it.
did a big analysis of the numbers.
Yeah.
And there are some things, they didn't break out principal and interest on their loans last year. I don't know who their bookkeeper is, but don't do that going forward. There were a couple of things they learned. It was their first year of business. I think they're managing their cash well, but the reality is they're going to have to make both the retail side continue to work and build that wholesale side in order to cover the expenses of having an additional, location.
I think we want to, because they're not going to draw down necessarily immediately, I think we do want to take a look at how you take two separate businesses and merge them together. Because I don't want them to get, if they're doing well in their coffee shop, I don't want them to think they're not having a problem at their wholesale because they aren't looking, they need to set their books up where they're looking at those as two separate divisions of their own company. Because you could end up thinking you were doing really well and one was really killing it.
So draining everything.
Yeah. Just like what we did here when we, we always looked at the total and then realized that the interest from the loan fund was what kept us floating, but we were putting that money into the loan fund, not using it for cash. So.
Further?
I'll make a motion to approve the loan. So. Loans. Rural loans.
Second.
Second, Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so fast.
Thank you.
Moving along to the Columbia Forward.
Well, thank you very much. The County Board of Supervisors unanimously passed a week ago, Wednesday, approval of the Columbia Forward program. As you will recall, the Columbia Forward program provides $150,000 a year for 3 years, assuming that each year it's renewed based on our performance for the previous year. The $150,000 will be used $10,000 by CEDC for administration, then $10,000 for us to do marketing and maintain the website. And then the 130 left over will be split 50-50 between the chamber and CEDC to provide for a staff person. In addition, the county awarded, as part of this initiative, an additional $50,000, where in return, CEDC agreed to use up to $500,000 of funds available in our accounts for lending for a program which we're going to have a name for. But what will happen is if you qualify for that loan program, you will get 10% of the amount you borrow as a upfront kicker. So if you borrow $10,000, you get $1,000. If you borrow 15, you get 1,500. If you borrow 25, can't go higher than 25. You'd get 2,500. Now, you cannot, the qualifications, Martha, did you just want to go through those? You can't be to refinance existing money you have out with us, only new money.
Do we have that listed in here?
No, it's not in that program. But 2 years in business,
625 minimum credits for, and I think we kept it at 25 or fewer employees. It's
Right.
to benefit small businesses.
Yeah.
So similar to the criteria we had for the rapid recovery loan program, and we hope to have the application on.
and what we looked at was last year we did about $560,000 in new business. So we're almost at the halfway point, believe it or not, one more month. And, we're on that pace again. So my sense is we'll do 250 to 300,000 of these loans in 2022, and then another 250 next year. And then if the Board of Supervisors wants to provide us with more funding, we can continue it. On the other hand, you still have to qualify under this program, and there'll be businesses that don't qualify who will continue to borrow money from us. If you're not in business for 2 years, that type of thing. So, I think it's a good arrangement. It partners with the county. It under the mantle of the support of the Board of Supervisors, it gets CEDC and the chamber out into the community. And I think by having something to give people, as well as coming and talking to them and giving them guidance and advice, that it makes it real. So I would respectfully request, Mr. Chairman, that the committee review it and approve it for full board consideration next Tuesday.
What are the salaries going to be? I see that 130,000 for both salary.
It's going to be 62.5 will go to the chamber and 62.5 to CEDC. Now that, if you're going to hire someone, you back out 20%. So you're backing out $12,000 for benefits.
Okay.
So you're looking somewhere between 50 and 60,000. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use that with the project manager salary that we had proposed and the part-time assistant. And we're looking at possibly getting someone a little bit more experienced than the project manager and getting a full-time administrative assistant. So it's not going to be, we're not specifically taking that money and creating a job at that price. We're going to be taking the money we had budgeted and this money and create 2 full-time positions.
That we're looking at with the chamber on it.
Well, and to get the unanimous support of both the minority and majority members of the Board of Supervisors, where it went back and forth and they had some input, and we modified the plan to find a path that allowed unanimous consent.
Just thinking about how it would work with this Hudson Grocery loan. This is not typical where we have 2 different closings on 2 different dates, but I guess we could offer them the option, 10% on the $20,000 SBA loan, which is $2,000, which we're going to close right away, or wait until October when they buy the roaster and get $2,500, which is the max you can get on the other loan. So we can give them the option.
I make a motion, we approve this at the committee level and forward it on the full board.
Seconded,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Here, all right, I'm not sure if you got it, Mike. All right, so moving forward then, any public comment? I'll entertain a motion. Grab something? Oh. Oh, I don't motion that way, sir. So sit still. All right, we'll entertain a motion for, oh, wait a minute.
I just want to compliment Martha and Lauren and Kat and Lisa. We just went over the $3.25 million loan portfolio size. And we are on budget, $1,000 over budget for the first 4 months of the year. So we're tracking at close to $70,000. I think our budget was 76, but we also had it a little bit skewed, heavily weighted towards the end of the year because we have new loans, and as they build up. So, I'm confident we're going to make the $75,000 budgeted number. Dave asked me earlier to take a look at whether we could develop a loan program that small businesses could use to absorb the cost of them providing a sign-on bonus to employees. So in other words, if you had to give someone a $2,000 to $5,000 sign-on bonus, you could borrow the money from us, which is kind of crazy, but if you needed the money to get the employee and you were willing to pay it back over 18 to 24 months, it would be about $250 a month. And what we looked at was if on a 18-month loan, if you got to the end of the first year, if you proved that the employee was still in your employ, we would give you 3 months of payments off. And so you'd only have 3 more months to go. And you would basically get on a $5,000 loan, approximately $1,000 in savings. And we thought that if we took up to $50,000 of our interest on loans, that we could, because we have $75,000. We took that money this year and didn't put it back into the loan fund like we've done every year in the past, and we used a portion of that for ensuring we have cash flow to meet our expenses, and up to $50,000 of that to create this pool to afford to forgive the grants, which we're basically putting it back in because they're not going to pay you and you had it out. That it would be a good pilot program, and we could see how it was responded to by the consumer, and then if it was working, ask the county next year in January to provide funding for us to continue it.
I just think that what I see and what I hear, finding employees seems to be a huge barrier. And I'd like to see us do something to help.
Yeah, I have a question regarding that.
What's that?
I have a question regarding it. To me, it sounds wonderful, but like you get these people who don't want to work and they're just hopping from job to get the $5,000 or whatever to another person. Is there gonna be a stipulation in the person's contract? Like, are you guys gonna make sure that you can give them that money, that they have to work there at least 6 months?
It would be in our contract with the employer.
Right.
Then the employer would have to make sure they stay.
Right. Because it just seems to me
Yeah.
that they'll be short-tailed at the end.
And what we'll do is you only get the money, you only get the forgiveness on your loan if you apply for it and it's approved.
Come in here with a W-2 forms or something, say they're still working.
Right. No,
Yeah.
it seems like the people that are working, and the people that are not, are
Yeah.
just hopping from, what's a better deal? You're not looking, something out there.
Very
So
true.
you wanna get the best one.
And what it's really costing us is on the 18-month plan, we'd be giving up about $700 in principal and $250 in interest. Now, the interest isn't a problem because we can reloan the money. as it comes in. And if you take, 750, $50,000, you could do up to 60 of these loans. I don't think that'll happen, but, we don't see it as a big risk, and it's a good, interesting pilot. And we're gonna Google till we find someone else who did it and use their model.
I mean, it's our mission. Our mission is
Yeah.
jobs.
And, we might get a small focus group together of businesses, to see how it might work for them. And I think we would limit it to 5,000. You couldn't get 5,000 for each employee. You get one shot at company. You could give 1,000 to 5 people, or you could give,
$10 people if you're looking for that many.
and get them, if you're in a business where, 500 attracts
If
somebody.
you're paying $15 an hour, then you're probably gonna give out $500 bonuses. But if you're paying $40 or $50 an hour, it's probably gonna be $1,000 or $2,000 bonus, so.
And if you're, and the more you're at that higher level, presumably you've got more people at that level, so you're generating enough cash flow to do this on your own. You don't need us.
You got to guarantee you're going to work for them
Yeah.
for 6 months or a year or something, right? Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're just we're helping an employer level out that cash flow need to not have to come up with $5,000 that day.
I like the idea of finding something online if somebody else is doing it, and I especially like the idea of reaching out to some employers.
We'll coordinate that with the chamber, make them bring the focus group with their check.
And work.
All right.
Well, we just whipped that up in the last 15 minutes.
15 minutes. I brought it up to you before.
Yeah.
Anything more?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. See you, Mike.
See ya. Andy, get off the front porch there. You're looking good, sunbathing.
It's a nice day to sunbathe today. Oh,
Yeah, up there in
not 95.